Hey Tash!
Hello, so good to be here.
Oh, so good. I'm so glad that we're here and live and doing this today. It's been a long time coming, I think, in so many ways. And I remember the first time that I met you, and I came to your business alchemy meditation. And, I had just moved to Brighton, I think, nearer that time. Maybe I'd been in Brighton for a couple of years or something. But I remember that I just wanted to connect with other people that were doing the same kind of work that I was doing. And so to come to your circle and to meet other like-minded souls and women, and you led such an incredible session. And I remember leaving and feeling really uplifted and really, alive with it. So it's so lovely to actually be with you right now.
Yeah, so I'm just really happy that you've asked me into this space because I can feel that something wants to unfold here.
Yeah. I love this, your kind of aura of unfoldment. It's so consistent with you, which is really beautiful. Like, you're kind of never out of that space. It's beautiful. It's a great thing to do. And and I love that we can stand in our authenticity and just be in that space and just love who we are with each other. So thank you for like joining me on
and same.
So I never start till 9. Oh no, we are 9:01. That's good. So good morning. I'm Nadine Benjamin. I'm a certified NLP mind coach. I'm a certified high performance coach, and I am a healer. And I'm a professional opera singer who sings all over the world and absolutely love it. I love just being of service. One of the things that I have found, I've been on 12 weeks safe at home. Mine doesn't get lifted until the 1st of August. So everybody else is out there like being in the shops and everything and all the rest of it. And actually mine doesn't lift till the 1st of August. So I am patiently in my space being with that. And I won't. The first thing I do, I won't be going to the shops anyway. But I love connecting, championing, and celebrating people. And today, I'm really here to celebrate the woman that is Tash Mitch. Tash Mitch is a life and business coach. She's a Reiki Master Teacher. She's a Kundalini Yoga Teacher. She's a Theta Healer. She's an EFT Practitioner. She's an intuitive guide, a doula, a channel, a creative writer, and speaker. My goodness, what a wonderful, phenomenal path really. And so her path is really, she feels, is to really support and assist the awakening process. And with what we're going on at the moment, we are in this awakening process. So it's really brilliant that we can both be here with you this morning. And we welcome Tash. Thanks for being here. So as I normally say, Tash and I, neither of us are medical doctors or psychiatrists. So if you need that kind of support, please go to the place that can give you that support. We fully encourage it. Not every path is a spiritual path at the exact time, and some of it is a medical path. And also, I would love if you know somebody who could be struggling or doesn't, have any support at the moment, please remember to pick up the phone and just check in and see how they are, because that's also really important at this time. Some people are still not off safe at home time, so that would be amazing. Okay, welcome, Tash.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you here and to be talking about this kind of work as well. I don't think I've had any practitioners come on and speak about this work as of yet. I know that there's a couple of people that would love to, but I haven't had any people come on and talk about it yet. So tell us about your journey and, around intuition and energy. Did that kind of start from a child?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I was really lucky in the sense that my grandmother was a really powerful, intuitive, and also a deeply spiritual woman. So because she led the way so profoundly in that area, for me, it was a kind of thing that it just felt very normal. It felt really normal to connect with my own intuition, even though, I mean, she had people around her, like she's got lots of different grandchildren. And basically, I think out of all of the grandchildren, I leaned in the hardest because, you know, there was something, and she was always giving me the reflection that I can see you, I see you, I hear you, I see you, I see you, you know? So, but she made it feel very, very normal. She made it, and because she was holding that so strongly, I never questioned my intuition. I never questioned that that was something that I should be scared of or afraid of. Her whole thing was always go out into the world with faith. You know what I mean? And don't let anybody shake you. Don't let anybody shake you. So it's kind of like man, woman, child, whatever. Don't let anybody shake you. So that was a real powerful message. And it's not until I started kind of like, you know, interacting with other people who didn't quite get that reflection. And maybe they got the reflection that they should be afraid. Maybe they came up from more of a religious background where there was a lot of different, you know, very strong differentials between good and evil. And so, and you know, and the evil camp was like massive. So like basically now you're sort of like really scared about who you are and what, like I never had any of that. So it made me really appreciate her even more, you know what I mean? But like how she held that, because it was not an easy stance to hold, in the sense that she really stood alone. Everybody knew where to come to if they wanted intuitive work, if they wanted spiritual work, if they wanted a medicine woman of that caliber. So she held it really strongly, but not everybody agreed with that. And she did not care. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. You know, because I remember so much being a child and having these dreams, and you know, and being really spiritual and really psychic, you know, and I have to say, everybody was afraid of it. Like, I mean, I came from that camp, and then you had religion, because then it's wrong, you're possessed by the devil, and you know, so to hear that, what you're saying right now is such a breath of fresh air.
Yes, yes.
To learn to come into that rather than that to just be a seating ground of where that is. So it's beautiful to hear you say that. What a phenomenal woman.
And the thing is I feel that we have soul to soul connections, you know. So basically the people that are on our paths, sometimes we don't appreciate them at the time, but there's the challenges that we go through are challenges that are there to craft and hone our own connection to our own soul, right? So she offered me a very strong connection to what soul could look like. And it was so strong, to be honest with you, that in some ways I felt kind of overwhelmed and overshadowed by it as well, because I knew that that wasn't my path. Her path was very, in a lot of ways, very, very isolated and very lonely too, right? Because she didn't have any reflections around her. And even though to her, she held that very strongly, me looking in, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's how, do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's how I want to be, like to just be standing alone like this the whole time, you know? And so there was a part of it where I merged into her, where there was a sense of like, it was really more about her than me. And then there was a part where I actually came, you know, just sort of came away and thought, okay, I have to honor you, honor everything that you've shown me, but now I have to take my own reins, you know? But nobody teaches you that.
No.
You know, so like there's a point where you're like, okay, I'm standing in the shadow too much. Like I need to get out of the shadow and take my own sort of like driver's wheel and go forward and really honor where I've come from. But at the end of the day, own the driver's seat, right? And it isn't something that nobody tells you, you know, now you own the driver's seat. No, there's no ritual or anything like that. It's just a part where you find that you're actually starting to feel disempowered by what's going on here. Yeah. And now the empowerment really is for you to step up and to really...
I love what you're saying. Good morning, Martin. Lovely to see you. Please feel free, anybody, because Tash will answer any questions if she can. If you come in, just please feel free to say hello as much as you want. We're all in this conversation. Yeah, I really love what you're talking about coming into our own path. We do really have to find that sense of self, of which part of these reins are we going to take. I really love that. And for me, being an opera singer, I had to really decide, you know, because it was that thing of everybody knew better than you and and at some point you have to make that decision. what kind of singer are you going to be, and what is it going to take to get there, and are you willing to take the journey? So it's just so beautiful to hear that clarity. Wonderful, wonderful. So what made you start bringing this spirituality and this, you know, intuition into businesses? You know, what made you start doing that?
Well, I studied, but so basically after I was an apprentice of my grandmother's of sorts for a while, right? But then after a while, it was kind of like I can't see reflections in the world of what this is going to look like. Like, how do I bring this out? So then it was a case of, well, I just live it, right? So I ended up studying business, and I ended up going into media advertising, and went into a world of business and business reflections. And then what I started to realize is that we all have soul purpose. We're all here to hone craft and express our gifts. However that's looking for us. It doesn't necessarily mean that for everybody that's going to be a business. But for some people, they are sinking 100% full-time into the expression and the offering of their gifts into the world. And it's from that place of evolution, from that place of change and transformation and expanding humanity and expanding perspective and all of these kind of things. That's where they're wanting to put their roots into. And for me, I found it very, very exciting to be the champion of those people, but also actually to offer a reflection to them on that path of somebody who's actually holding that rein really strongly myself, you know, so being a mentor on that path. For me, it was very, very obvious after a while that I came into this time and space, and this time and space specifically. Like, I remember signing up, you know what I mean? I remember going, yes, me, yeah, I want to do it.
So especially now in this time, the work that you're doing with businesses, how relevant are you finding that with the pandemic and where we've been, you know, or where we are even, you know? So let's speak in the now. Like, how relevant are you finding this spiritual work with businesses?
It's massively relevant, because where we are at the moment is a time of deep questioning, a time of opening, a time where everything that was rhythmic and habitual is suddenly no longer rhythmic and habitual. And when we take rhythmic and habitual from the human being, we go into the unknown, and the unknown is full of potential. Right? So at this present moment in time, there's a lot of people that are starting to go, well, if not that, what, you know? And so for me, that's where the time is really ripe for people then to start to open up to, well, I had this yearning in me for such a long time, why not, you know? And then now it's starting to navigate a path that is the unknown, but is very exciting, and also is something that is being more soul-led rather than the need of humanity-led and the ego-led, which is you know, we get taught survival instinct when we're quite young, right? And through our 20s, even when we go to university, it's very survival instinct led, you know, a lot of what we're doing. So to come into that sort of sense of actually we have guidance that is inbuilt within us. We've got a navigational system that a lot of times is not active, but when we switch it on, can actually be the source of our greatest power. And if we're allowing ourselves to be led by that, so much can happen in that space. So that's where I am. I offer that kind of reflection for people about how you connect to that soul guidance, how you connect to that inner navigational system.
Oh, I love that inner navigational system. Morning, Dave. Lovely to see you. I love that idea of an inner navigational system for business, like spiritual inner navigational system for business. Isn't that? I love that. Yeah, that just you know, so wonderful. So tell me, I get everybody to choose their own subject matter, because I feel that people know themselves better than I could possibly know them. So in the sense of championship, we give people their own subjects, and your subject today is human miracles. Yeah. So what do you mean when you talk about human miracles?
The thing is that we are miracles walking. We are miracles walking, and the world doesn't always show us that. It doesn't point us towards that. It doesn't teach us that, generally speaking. We become very nonchalant about our gifts. We become very nonchalant about the fact that we've got this gift of a human body, you know? And so for me, it's actually, I call it making divine flesh and bone. It's actually bringing the miracle into your day-to-day existence and actually being able to see what it is to be walking as a walking miracle. And so for me, that's the first thing to do, just to do that, is to come into the cellular structure of the body, right? We are made of like 70 trillion cells, depending on, some people say, depending on the measurements that are used, sometimes it's like 30 trillion, sometimes it's like 70 trillion, but let's say 70 trillion, right? 70 trillion cells in a human, 70 trillion.
Yes.
70 trillion. Right? Each of those cells are conscious. Each of those cells are actually alive and conscious. And we go outside looking for abundance. We go outside sort of like, I want to find my abundance, right? And 70 trillion drops of awareness are within us. So for me, it's turning that lens inwards. And then when we actually look at those 70 trillion cells, what we're actually seeing a lot of times is that there's a lot of incongruence. So, you know, there's parts of us that want to do that, parts of us that want to do that, parts of us that want to do that. So we end up sort of really scattered energetically with all of this. So once you start to appreciate even just you as a cellular being, and then you start to become more congruent in terms of what you're wanting, you know, what the guidance that you're receiving from your soul, and, you know, just where energy and life is leading you, what is it saying? And you become very switched on and intentional from that kind of guidance system. You start to see that the world in and of itself is miraculous. Because just as you're paying attention to what's going on in the inside, you start to see that actually what's going on in the inside is reflecting the outside, and that anything that's on the outside is a direct reflection on the inside. And then you've got this kind of like interplay between what I call the Vesica Pisces, where it's basically two energy forms that meet. And those two energy forms have come together because they're a reflection of each other in some way, shape, or form. And then you start to see that life is actually for you. Life is there to show you when there's challenges in front of you. It's there to show you where you need to craft and hone and get stronger and actually open maybe and expand more. And when there's things moving in the direction for you, and it's basically kind of like just following that direction forward and really feeling into where life is leading you. And it's always leading back.
I really identify with that as well. I call adversity stopping into the gas station to kind of to fill up for your car, and so it can reboot and start going on the next part of its journey. I really identify with that. Good morning, Gabby. Lovely to see you. Really lovely to see you. So in terms of like, you know, we, as you say, we are the walking miracles. What I mean, when you see yourself, how do you see yourself in this miracle light?
Well, basically, for me, I see myself in terms of connecting to I call it the language. My languaging is always around divinity, right? And it's around that sort of sense of I am made flesh and bone, but there's an element of me that is past this time-space reality. There's an element of me that is infinite, that is abundant, that's boundless, that has connection to everything within this universe. And actually, when I open myself up to that part actually is able to show me and guide me in this reality. And so there's an element of me where I'm constantly looking at how do we make divinity flesh and bone? How do we actually bring it into the core and the crux of our one foot in front of the other? And never leave it behind. You know, it's really interesting how I love retreat spaces. I love when people, you know, come in, and I create retreat spaces where, you know, people can come in and have an experience and then they go out into their lives. But for me, what is the juice of it is how do you bring that experience into your waking moments when you're in the supermarket, when you're sitting in the restaurant, when you're walking down the street? Like, how do you make that a living reality, you know?
Yeah.
Where I've really sunk my roots into. It's bringing divinity into the flesh and the bone of me.
And I really what I'm hearing is that is the human miracle.
Yes.
Yes, because not a lot of people know how to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? So the fact that you're showing them or bringing them into that light about that is amazing. So I'm just going to go. We're going to go to the chat because I do love to bring everybody into our conversation. So Alison Child is saying, I am loving this. Nice one, Alison. Lovely to have you here. And hey, Laurie. Laurie is saying, how do you get to that point? So Laurie wants to know, how do you get to the point where you have this divinity, you're making this divinity flesh and bone. I'm just paraphrasing, Laurie, so if I get that wrong, just tell me, darling. You know, but then how do you get from that transition, which I'm interested in? My coaching work is all about helping people through transition. So how do you get to that transition to the place where you're walking in the supermarket and you can feel that divinity?
For me, it's basically a moment-to-moment thing, right? And that's what I was saying before. There's times when we have these experiences in very tight spaces. So we go away for a weekend, we have an experience, and we come out of that experience and we go back into our lives. And for me, it's then how, you know, bringing that into, and to bring that into, you start to realize that the relationship that you have with the divinity is not a relationship that you have where you go to church on Sunday and then the rest of the week you're not doing anything. It's a relationship where, like, basically you're in that dialogue, you're in that communication, you're in that opening, you're in that questioning, you're in that space of I feel like opening to be guided. That space, it's a very unknown space as well, because it's a space that sort of says, I don't know, show me, you know, but you're in that space constantly. It could be a space where you're sort of standing there trying to choose pasta, you know what I mean, in the supermarket. It could be something as mundane as that, like how we say it's mundane, and you could be in that space of, I'm open here, show me, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, for me, it becomes a very moment to moment, second to second opening to be shown. And I don't think there's anything as exciting as that, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, would you say that you know, because a lot of people at the moment are calling what I'm perceiving you're talking about as mindfulness, maybe, or just taking that moment, or would you say that it's a little bit different from that?
Mindfulness is very much about being present and being in this moment, and being here now. I'm on the chair. I can feel my feet. You know, I'm present. I'm in this moment. Sometimes with mindfulness, spirit isn't there so much, you know, or soul isn't there so much in that languaging. It's very much about taking the mind out of the ego space and bringing it back into the reality of your here and now existence. And that's very important, absolutely. But then once you're in the here and now existence, you start to realize, oh, my feet are on the earth beneath me, and the earth is vibrating. You know,
love that. You know,
I am in my body, and my body is activated and alive. What is this animation? You know, what is this flow? So you start to, once there's a part that you need the mindfulness to actually center yourself. But once you're centered, there is that other step. And that other step is then starting to actually feel the pulsation of the life that's in you and all around you. And that, to me, is where the spirit and the soul element comes in. Because you also start to see things like, for example, this universe has been here for almost 14 billion years, right? The earth has been here for around about 4 billion years. And we take it all for granted. We take it all for granted. Do you know what I mean? It's like we take it so much for granted. It's kind of like we're walking on this ancient pulsating being, you know, because the earth is so very much alive. And if you go into science, you will see that the earth has got a heartbeat and it is pulsing energy, you know. We take it so much for granted. And for me, it's a very short space between switching it on to realize, I am here. I am, and when I say divine being, sometimes the language of divinity, the reason why I use the language of divinity is I don't have any issues with God and the language of God, but it can be so steeped in religion that then people have this push-pull relationship with it.
Yeah.
And so the divinity was a language that I actually forged within myself, to actually have this relationship with this pulsating aliveness that's all around me. And to then start to weave that into the consciousness so it becomes part and parcel of my everyday existence.
And guys, if you ever go onto Tash Mitch's page, like, you'll have days where, I do, because I've talked about, I always do a morning disco. I do a 10-minute morning disco every morning, Tash, because I believe that awakens the soul, But you should see some of Tash's soul dances. I've seen her do, like, she has a moment, where she just goes off on one, and it's really beautiful, because dance was a great part of my world. I used to be a dancer, and Teresa down here used to be a dancer as well. Seeing coming in, and Teresa, can we celebrate Teresa, because she's going to do her vows today?
Oh wow!
Sending you so much love, and thank you for being here with us today. And we're going to get to see her, because she's going to come on and give us a beautiful chat, around lots of different things. So it's going to be beautiful to have her on when she comes, and I think she's coming next Monday, so we're looking forward to that. What was it? Where was I at? So yes, in terms of everything now, then, if you were to give us kind of 3 tips around coming into that space, this miracle space, which I love, like, as soon as the smile on your face, like, and I'm sure it's been energetically received by someone, what would your 3 tips be for this miracle space?
So the first tip is breath, right? Because breath tethers us to spirit, and it tethers us to soul. And we do it again so nonchalant, right? It's like, basically we worry about what's going to be happening 10 minutes from now. And it always marvels me, not that we should be worrying about breath, but we don't worry about breath. Like literally, it's kind of like the thing that is keeping us alive, the thing that if for 10 minutes we didn't have it, we would cease to exist.
Exactly.
We take it so much for granted. But in the breath, when we actually bring consciousness into breath, there is so much magic in there. So for example, if you're really nervous, if something is going on and you're kind of like everything is outside of you and you're projecting out, so there's limited energy within you now, like literally just bringing your attention to your breath and starting to deepen the breath and starting to widen the breath and just connecting. All you do is you use the breath as your connection point. It brings your spirit literally back into your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a great exercise for that, people. So to breathe in, this is all through your nose. So you breathe in through your nose for 4. You hold for 4, and then you breathe out from your nose for 8. We've done this before, people, so I know that we've done this before, but that exercise really brings the breath and the body into presence. So I really agree with you there, Tash. That miracle breath is really, really, really important.
Massive.
Yeah.
So like tip 2 is the navel point. The navel point is an amazing part of the body, because the navel point, when we were in the womb space, the navel actually tethered us to the mother, and also it tethered us to the physical reality. It was our point of understanding that we were now entering a physical world. And all our nourishment was coming from our mothers to our bodies through the navel point. So there's a very sensitive honing that has been crafted in the womb space through the navel point. And so a lot of energy is held within the navel. And also, there's no coincidence that we say on the navel point is our power center, because like literally when we are outside of ourselves, literally what we're doing, we're caving in like this, and our energy is moving. We're projecting through the navel outwards, and we're sort of like looking at everybody else's stuff. Oh, what's she doing? Oh, what's he got? Like, I haven't got that. So then, we start to disempower our navel point. When we're actually coming into empowerment, there's a sense of actually drawing the navel in and just keeping a sort of connection with that navel. And that actually brings us into our sense of center. It brings us into our sense of self. It brings us into a sense of inner knowing. And it's quite interesting if you do this, like if you find yourself maybe on a train or something, perhaps for a very long time that won't be happening. But if you find yourself in a place where there's a lot of people around and you're getting a little bit jostled and you're getting like, just annoyed by maybe what's going on, and you pull your navel in, just pull that navel point in, there's something that centers you. It actually centers you from your backbone. It centers you in. And there's something that exudes. There's a kind of presence that exudes out of that actually you'll find either that more space is created or more metaphorical space is created, that suddenly you are in your center and you're in your zone. So there's, just connecting to that navel point, it could be a very, very powerful place for you to connect to, particularly when you're kind of like in this sort of like gifted zone.
Dr. Sebi, Sebi, the late Dr. Sebi, he said, how did women get, like less powerful than men when the women are the most powerful beings in the earth? They make children, which has this energy. That's, we make human beings. And I always thought about that, him saying that he always had this great respect for women, just because he realized the magnificence of that power that we held from that navel point almost, so just very interesting.
And then when you think about it, it's navel to navel. So basically the mother is like literally empowering. It's not only nourishment, it's empowering through the through navel to navel. And also, unfortunately can be also disempowering, which is one of the reasons why for me, something that's been coming in more and more is the appreciation of ourselves as women in woman's body. That's really important. So that's the second one. And the third one is the neutral mind. The neutral mind is a powerful I cannot once you understand the neutral mind, it actually can be one of the most greatest of allies, because there's a part of us that wants to be positive. Yes, let's go forward. Let's do the thing. There's a part of us that's got that negativity. Oh no, I shouldn't do that. Oh no, that's not for me. There's that drawing back thing. And in that sort of like interplay of positive and negative, we don't meet life from a place of show me. We don't meet life from a place of unknown. We're meeting it from a place of known. We're either meeting it, yes, this is all for me, or no, this is not for me, right? The neutral mind is where you actually stay in your center and you are willing to be in that unknown place, and you say, divinity, show me. Divinity, show me. And this is where you start to see the miracles all around you, right? It's only in that unknown space. You cannot do it from the known. Because if you're doing it from the known, literally you're doing it from your filtration system. And a lot of time you're doing it from the air. Even the things that we say is us has got trauma in it, It's only us because we've limited ourselves into this box that has made it us. And the things that we say that isn't us has got filters and trauma in it, because it's like, no, you know what I mean? So to actually be a neutral mind, to be a neutral, we're like, show me. And that's kind of, there's a lot that's been said about the innocence of a child. This is what they're talking about. It's neutral mind, that element of like, this life is a miracle. It's miraculous. I don't know anything right at this moment. I'm opening up.
Oh, so beautiful. I really identify with that. When I'm mentoring people, I tend to tell them not to have one or two choices, because as you're saying, we then go into comparison of what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. So actually, if I give people three choices, then actually they're just taking little bits from each thing. And then they're going, oh, this is how I can make this me. Not kind of from the two extremes, which beautifully explained. Thank you so much. That's really wonderful. Oh, it's been so lovely. I will have to wrap up. It's been so lovely to talk to you and to like spend this time with you. Martin Stiles is saying, I like the neutrality idea.
Yes, Martin, it's powerful.
Yeah, he's an amazing hypnotherapist and psychoanalyst and psychotherapist. He's everything. Like, Yeah, he's a, you know, so it's great to have other people of this work joining us here today. And Laura Dixonberg is a wonderful artist, and she's like wonderful stuff, and she's an amazing creator. So we have Alison Child, like we have a lot of people here, and Teresa here that are just like part of this leadership group that we are all part of, and that we are all forming, which is so wonderful. And I've wanted to bring some of this more spiritual work, obviously, because you know I'm doing a doctorate in metaphysics. So I want to bring more of my peer group, my people that believe in what I believe in, into the space.
Yeah.
You know, so it's wonderful. So if anybody does want to take that opportunity to work with Tash, please do, because she's a wonderful human being, and a human soul, and a human divinity person. So it's just amazing. So where can we find you, Tash, if we wanted to?
So it's quite easy, really. My website is www.tashmitch, TASHMITCH.com. And my email is tash@tashmitch.com. And I've also got one other thing. With a collective, we've formed the Institute of Energy Work. So if you want to find out a bit about that, is www.ienergywork.com, all one word, ienergywork.com.
Brilliant. Hi, Phelim. Oh my gosh, Phelim is one of our greatest kind of directors in opera, and he gets into massive conversations around how can we go forward and how can we be inspired, just like what we're talking about today, like being in the solution, being in that divinative power, what comes up when we put groups together and different voices to speak together, so we can have a different conversation, sometimes uncomfortable conversations, which I'm always talking about, having these uncomfortable conversations. But lovely to see you here, Phelim, and he's saying wonderful, generous thoughts. So with that in mind, my darling, your thoughts for us, what would be, like, you know, from the presence of what we've spoken about today, in the light of who we've had around us today, what would be your final thoughts for this chat today?
So I'm just going to open up and just allow myself to be what I call a divine flute. And just allow whatever is wanting to come forward in this space to come forward in this space. You are an absolute and utter miracle, but it takes a certain perspective. It takes a certain mindset. It takes a certain way of seeing, a way of perceiving. It takes being in the unknown, where you meet the world from a place of curiosity, from a place of openness, and from a place where you meet divinity with divinity, where you are standing in your empowered divine state, and you allow the world to show you its empowered divine state. When you stand in this place, you activate the earth beneath you, and even in your footprint, you are being led to divinity in the world around you. You're able to see in the most mundane things how it took 13 billion years for this thing to arrive in front of you in the energy form that it now takes. So going out into your day and going out into your life and bringing in the miraculous into your perspective, into your thoughts, into your breath, and into your being.
So beautiful. Received with grace, with love, with heart, with soul, with mind, with body, with spirit, with emotion. Really received. Thank you so much. You're just a gorgeous person. Just thank you, Tash, for all the work that you do. Oh, Hugh is saying, a very good morning, ladies. Nadine and Tash, hope you're both well. Thank you for sharing your wonderful talents with us all on Facebook.
Thank you.
Here, and everybody, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's been such a beautiful journey. I can really feel the spirit around all of us today, and we're all together. I can really feel us all together. So I love that these chats just aren't about the two people chatting, it's about all of us here. So and Tash, you led a wonderful session, and I just really thank you so much for really staying in your heart and just sharing with us your wonderful insights. It's been a beautiful, beautiful session. Thank you so much. And
thank you. I have to say thank you for opening out this space, and also thank you for all that you be as well. It's been amazing witnessing you and witnessing the integrity that you have, and also witnessing the quality of what you bring forward and the quality that you allow yourself to hone in terms of your gifts and in terms of your expressions outwards. Is just amazing. So it's really an honor to be heart to heart and soul to soul in this space with you and with everyone that's been here. So thank you for inviting me.
So Tanya is saying, thank you, lovely ladies, set me up for the week. Wicked Tanya. Alison is saying Tasha's advice is both practical and spiritual, clear, important, beautiful, truly wonderful. Thank you so much, Alison, for that. Thank you everyone for being here. We've loved having you here. Take care, and sending blessings to each and every one of you. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. See you next Monday.